Hi, this video is for students who are preparing for CAT 26. This is basically verbal section preparation. So we already have video for general, for quant, for DLR. So this is the verbal section preparation. If you're starting from September 25, this is what you need to do. So we've been training students for more than 23 years. So fairly comfortable with the exam and the way to crack the examination. So we're talking of verbal in aptitude exam. So what does it normally verbal section contains? 4 broad areas. Reading, they check you on how good you are at reading. Grammar, vocabulary, reasoning. Sometimes verbal reasoning is a separate section. Reasoning comes in the logic section a lot of times. But yes, reading, grammar, vocabulary are 3 broad areas which is checked on. Now, if you look at a CAT exam, CAT focuses on reading paper pattern. It doesn't focus on grammar, doesn't focus on vocabulary. Unfortunately, a lot of students waste time in looking at grammar and vocabulary, which technically is not important. You don't require a very high vocabulary to read. Though if you feel that you're from a vernacular medium, you need to build vocabulary, you can. But yes, if you want to do grammar and vocabulary for other exams apart from CAT, you can. But I would suggest start later. First, try to create a habit of reading. If you look at 67% of verbal section is RC, reading comprehension. So out of 24 questions, 16 questions are reading comprehension. Around 8% is verbal, is para-assembly, around 2 questions, sometimes C, para-assembly. So total around 75+% is directly linked to reading. So that means if you're good at reading, your verbal is taken care of. The other part, like odd and out, sentence completion, they're all based on reading itself. So if you're good at reading, these parts also taken care of. Because you will be able to jumble the para, you'll be able to understand connecting sentences, so on. So technically the whole paper is sort of based on reading. There are no questions on grammar or vocabulary. Vocabulary does help in reading, but don't give overtly too much on vocabulary. A lot of people waste a lot of time to improve vocabulary. It's like unless your vocabulary is really weak, that means you have been from vernacular medium, etc. I think the vocabulary you have will be enough for reading, and you can develop your vocabulary over a period of time as in when you read more and more. So broad, how do you plan to prepare? So first 3 months I would say, okay, half an hour to 1 hour, try to create habit of reading. That's the first part you should do. I mean, don't jump into reading tough articles because then you lose your interest in reading. First is to develop the habit of reading. So half an hour to 1 hour is sufficient. Pick up something that you enjoy reading, something on your hobby, something on your sports, and maybe even build vocabulary for around 10-15 minutes every day. Pick up a few words. As in when you read, when you come up with difficult words, you can pick up that as well. That is also do. So, but yes, the way you do vocabulary, but don't spend too much. 15 minutes is sufficient in a day. Right. Then from December to February, again, continue reading, continuing vocabulary, but also start reading a little bit tougher articles. Yeah, apart from your normal reading, you can read maybe 1-2 newspaper editorials a day, read an article from diverse topics. So now start reading a little bit more than a normal reading. You need to create and develop the habit of reading. That's very important. So reading a little bit more editorials of newspapers or diverse topic definitely helps. And then from March to June, apart from that, maybe you can do a little bit of grammar exercise and RC passages. Not compulsory. You can start with RC passages once you start with the mocks. That's okay. Also grammar you can do later. It's not important that you do it right now. But in case you're doing, you can do it right now. It's all option. But yes, reading is extremely important. Continue reading, reading diverse articles, reading newspaper editorials definitely helps. For vocabulary, I did do word list. Normally for aptitude examination, word list is a good way of solving. I mean, pick up any word list, standard word list from the net and try to solve. Go to the word list. Or as I said, when you read, you can pick up the words and go to those words daily. There's also a book called Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. If you're comfortable with it, you can use it. Else for CAT or entrance exam, word list will do. Verbal exercises, targeting other exams, then you can use, there is grammar and vocabulary. The best way to solve grammar is to solve exercises and note down your mistakes in a book. So when you solve, you'll do some mistakes. Write down those mistakes and why have you done those mistakes in a book. So over a period of time, you come to know the pattern. There's no point in doing grammar as such because it's very vast. The Brennan Martin is very confusing and vast. There are too many exceptions in verbal, very difficult to remember everything. So solving exercises and knowing your mistakes backwards, that is a good way to prepare for grammar. Right. Hope this helps. If you're preparing for CAT, do subscribe to our channel. We'll come up with more videos. It will help you. Thank you.